Hey everyone, I'm Almar of almarsguides.com, and in this video here, I'm going to be talking about the Templar build in Titan Quest. So this is a combination of defense and dream, and I am just doing a standard Templar. I'm not doing the damage reflection Zeal Templar or whatever it's called because I didn't feel like farming up that extra gear, and I figured the majority of people who go this build aren't going to have all of that damage reflection gear, so we're just doing a standard run-of-the-mill Templar build, which is basically a very good damage dealing tank. So let's start by looking at the defense tree. Adrenaline, you want to get this and the whole line, in my honest opinion. I've seen a lot of builds skip adrenaline, but it's a proc that you can basically always have on you that gives you a flat damage boost as well as increased speed. It's good, get it. Rally, this is basically a potion that also buffs you. And it's also something you want to get. It does basically exactly what a potion does. Instantly restores a lot of health, plus gives you health regeneration over a certain amount of time. Along with the passives that come with it, give you energy regen, boost the total speed again, as well as 65% elemental resistances and 80% damage reflected, which is insane. The 65% elemental resistances means you'll basically you don't have to worry about capping your elemental resistances with your gear, because every single time you use rally, that will make up for whatever shortcomings you have in your gear. So keep that in mind. You can focus on pierce resist, vitality resist, physical resist, instead of focusing so much on elemental resist. So battle awareness, this is going to be one of the buffs you throw on yourself and keep on at all times. It's just a long-lasting duration buff, like one of the trances from Dream, which we're also going to be using. And most important aspect of battle awareness is Iron Will right here, which gives you basically 100% resist against sleep, stun, entrapment, freeze, skill disruption, and mind control. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Quick recovery. This is an optional skill, one of the few we can get. And it is, it's not a button that's going to save your life, but it is a button that will drastically reduce how much damage you're taking. I like to pop quick recovery whenever I have like 2-3 packs of mobs on me, because it'll make the damage manageable and not spiky. And usually in Titan Quest, spike damage is what kills you. So if you can eliminate spike damage with something like quick recovery, I think it's personally very worth it, so I get it. Shield charge, since we have Phantom Strike that does basically the same thing as shield charge, I skip it. There's no point in having like two abilities that zip you right on over to enemies, in my opinion. It's up to you if you'd like to get shield charge too, along with Phantom Strike, but Phantom Strike is above and beyond better than shield charge. Batter, this is usually what a lot of defense masteries use as their left mouse button ability. However, Psionic Touch is way, way better. So again, I skipped Batter and put Psionic Touch in its place. So like two of the main defense abilities aren't used with this build, Batter and Shield Charge. On the right hand side of the defense tree, get all of these abilities. Always get all of these passives, they're great. Colossus Form, this is your boss killing ability. Amazing ability, you definitely want to get it. Great for bosses, absolutely fantastic. Fantastic for bosses. Perfect Block, it's I skip it. On almost everybody, I skip it. It's a get out of jail free card for 1 second, which is woo. You can barely get out of jail free if if the enemies can start wailing on you again in 1.1 seconds. So Unyielding Phalanx, this is a surprisingly really, really good ability for defense that I love. Absolutely love this ability. I drop this on top of bosses as well as on top of large packs of enemies, and it just decimates them. Love it. So now we're going into Dream. Now, there's 3 trances here, depending on which one you would like. Trance of Empathy is the one I am using right now because of the damage reflected as well as attack damage converted to health. However, if your gear's sucky, then you're going to want to do Trance of Convalescence. Trance of Convalescence will... it's just like, you almost don't die. But once you get better gear, you really don't need to use it. So I use Trance of Wrath instead, or Trance of Empathy instead right here. Which, a lot of Templar builds use it for the damage reflected. But, that is a nice quality to it as well. However, I use it mostly because, well, yeah, damage reflected. That's why I use it. And the attack damage converted to health isn't too bad. It does increase your survivability, but not as much as convalescence. But it's a very nice trance to use when you don't need to depend on convalescence. And here's the 3 main passives that you're going to want to get with Dream. Lucid Dream, Premonition, and Temporal Flux. Get all of these and max them out. They're amazing passives, just like the right side of the defense tree. So, Summon Nightmare. This is the first optional one in Dream. If you want it, get it. If you don't want it, don't get it. I like having a pet with me at all times because I'm a very pet person. I love pets in these sorts of games, and I try to wedge a pet in where in any build, even if the build doesn't require for pets. So, I get it. If you don't want to, it's a heavy skill point investment, and you don't have to. However, with this build, there really is not much else you can dump skill points into. So I'd recommend getting it. Psionic Touch, this is going to be your left mouse button ability. It comes with Psionic Burn and Distortion Field. You want to max both of those out as well. However, don't bother getting Psionic Beam. Like it says, it only works with staves, so there's no point in you getting it whatsoever. Phantom Strike, this is going to be your main offensive attack, as well as more of like a I don't know how to describe it, a vanity ability, not really, more of like a transportation ability, I guess. It's nice to get you in and out of danger very easily. You can Phantom Strike into a pack of enemies, or you can Phantom Strike out of a pack of enemies. So it's one of those abilities that you can use it offensively or defensively. The upside of it, which is really nice, it attacks 8 targets all around because of the passive that goes with it, stuns all of those targets, drains their energy, and it's insanely good. And the amount of damage it does is plus 239% total damage, so it's like a flat percent damage boost. It is insane damage. I love Phantom Strike, one of the best abilities in Dream for melee users. And then finally we have Distort Reality, which is going to be like an AoE stun. If you get the passive that comes with it, it stuns enemies for quite a while, and this is the powerful combination of the build. We basically Phantom Strike into a pack of enemies, and they all get stunned by the Phantom Strike. We whack on them for a couple seconds, and then we drop a Distort Reality, stun them all again, and then basically whack on them until they're dead. And that's, really all there is to it. The build is very, very straightforward, very, very simple, and I'm going to show you how it plays right here. So, cast all my buffs on me, some of my little Nightmare pet, and we're off. Now, you might notice I have the Warwind ability as well, which I have an item that grants me Warwind, so I like to use that as well. You probably won't have it, though, unless you have the same items as me, and I totally forgot to show you my inventory. Or I totally forgot to show you the items that I have equipped it on, so let's do that real fast before we run out there. So this is kind of like a bread and butter monster infrequent item for basically everybody who's a melee. It's one of the best items you can get in the game, and it's farmed from Act 5, this one specifically legendary. The reason it's so good is because flat physical damage, flat bonus to attack speed, and then you also have the flat damage to giants, which is, nice. This is the Curse that I'm using. The reason I chose this was because of the +2 to all skills, as well as the chance to avoid projectiles. It doesn't come with too much extra on it. It's got some nice elemental resistances, but aside from that, really, really just want it for the +2 to all skills and the protection that it offers. So, Star of Ishtar, instead of using the Talisman of the Jade Emperor, this build I like to use Star of Ishtar. It gives me physical resist, which is great, elemental resist, which makes up for not having the whatchamacallit, Talisman of the Jade Emperor. It just doesn't have as much as that one, and it's also got the 18% elemental resist bonus. However, one of the main reasons I chose this is because the flat 20% strength, as well as the flat 20% dexterity. Very nice boosts to my damage and my 2 main stats. I don't need the extra survivability because I'm already a beast, so I went with this artifact instead. So Band of Souls, I got kind of a budget Band of Souls here because I tried to upgrade it and it failed miserably on me. So my life leech is very, very low from it. However, we're mostly using this Band of Souls for the vitality resistance. Really, that is more or less the only thing I'm using it for, is the Vitality Resist. However, the Life Leech is nice. Helm of the Conqueror. We're using this for the Pierce Resist, as well as the plus Defense Mastery, and that's basically it. We already get max Stun Resist from our talents, so we don't worry about that. The defensive and offensive ability is nice, but that's, yeah. We basically want the +1 to all skills and the Pierce Resist. Chiron's Loot, we're using this for the Pierce Resist, as well as the Poison Resist. More or less, that's all we want it for. The dodge attacks is nice too. The defensive ability is nice too. It's got a few other nice things on it, but we want the Pierce and Poison Resist. Shield, +1 to all skills, Pierce, Elemental, and Poison Resist. Those are the main reasons we're using it. Plus, it also comes with offensive ability, physical damage, and Life Leech Retaliation, which are all nice. Stonebinder's Cuffs, we're using it for the +3 to all skills, and we also like the attack speed that it comes with, as well as the elemental resistances. It is arguably one of the best items you can get for this slot for almost any build. Myrmidon's Pendant, bunch of resists, as well as flat physical damage boost, and also flat chance to avoid projectiles, all nice. And then finally our little booties. Pierce Resist, Vitality Damage Resist, Bleeding Resist. That's the main reason we're using those. And that's all there is to it. Here's the my secondary resist tab, and here's my primary tab again. Now you might be like, well, dude, your elemental resists are a little bit, your fire and lightning are a little bit low. Fear not, when we pop Rally, everything's capped. So that is the power of Rally. And now we can decimate enemies. So how this build works is we're going to, like, let's say, distort reality since Phantom Strike it down, see everything's stunned. Now we just la-di-da-di-da, beat on it. Now, you might be like, well, should we Phantom Strike here? Because there's a lot of enemies, like, or rather, let me think of a way to phrase that sounds better instead of it being all jarbled. You can Phantom Strike on top of yourself. Like, you don't have to use Phantom Strike as a shield charge ability. You can Phantom Strike right on top of yourself. Don't worry about not doing that. Like right here, Phantom Strike. Stunned everything and did a crap ton of damage to everything around me. What I'm trying to say, though, is you don't have to always use Phantom Strike to close the gap. You can use Phantom Strike solely as an offensive ability and nothing else. However, it is nice for closing the gap, too. But it's worth noting that a lot of the times when you use Phantom Strike to close the gap, you're not going to get the full defense or full offensive capacity out of it. Like if I use it to close the gap over here, I only hit 3 enemies. Like what to do, right? But if I used it when all these enemies are grouped up on top of me, like right now, I would hit all of them. So figure out what you want to use Phantom Strike for, more or less. I like to use it more so for the damage because it does like plus 300%, well, 239% bonus damage. However, it's very useful for closing the gap too and stuff like that. Or if you could use Shield Charge instead if you wanted to have an ability solely for closing the gap, and then Phantom Strike if you wanted an ability solely for dealing damage. So it's up to you. This build does have quite a few extra skill points. Especially if you don't get the Summon Nightmare, you're going to have a ton of extra skill points. So it's up to you if you would like to get both, or you know exactly how you would like to play out. Phantom Strike there, distort reality, see everything stunned, and then we just go ham on everything. It's worth mentioning too that you can probably play this build with a throwing weapon, although I have not tried it. And as you can see, Distort Reality is a very good opener too if you can't Phantom Strike into enemies. And as you might notice, despite being a tank, our damage is quite high. Like, I know there's some glass cannon builds that will put this damage to shame out there, but I'm very, very happy with the amount of damage that this build does. Usually when you get a really, really tanky build, it's a little bit lackluster on the damage, but this build really comes through as far as damage is concerned. Really, really high damage, really, really high survivability. And like I said before, if you want more survivability because your gear sucks, then you use Trance of Convalescence. But if you have very good gear, like I do, and you want more damage, you use Trance of Empathy. And like I said before, since this isn't a skill point heavy build, you'll have the extra skill points to get both trances if you want. Like I have both trances as well as Summon Nightmare, so I got a whole bunch of skills. And as you've seen there, I just decimated that whole pack of mobs without taking barely any damage because they were stunned the whole time. Between Distort Reality and Phantom Strike, they were stunned the entire time, and the amount of damage they took between those two skills and me whacking on them was high enough that they basically didn't, like, they died right when stun faded from them. Keep getting stuck on plants. Popping Rally just to get the buff, because Rally's just sitting there, I don't even really need it. Let me show you the Unyielding Phalanx right here. There you go. I finally took some actual damage. That was probably bleeding damage that I took, or poison. The reason that I took a lot of damage there is twofold. One, it was probably one of the resists I don't have, poison or bleeding. Most likely poison. Could have been vitality too because I'm pretty low in it, but it was probably poison or bleed. And I wasn't attacking at the same time either. Yeah, it was definitely poison. They're shooting poison at me. The not attacking at the same time was a big factor because I have a lot of life leech, which means I can basically heal for almost all of the damage that I take. However, if you're not attacking, then it doesn't really matter because your life leech ain't doing nothing. And also don't forget our Trance of Wrath or Empathy, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's Trance of Empathy. Yeah, Empathy. Our Trance of Empathy gives us attack damage converted to health. So keep that in mind too. That's also not just the Band of Souls, but also the Trance will also give me, you know, extra health when I'm attacking. And it's one of those things, despite having good gear, I still don't have the best gear because I'm still lacking in poison, I'm still lacking in bleeding. Bleeding resist is a lot less important, but poison is pretty important. I could use some extra poison res if I could find it. have an idea. Oopsies, hit the wrong button. Always hit K instead of L. Yeah. I was going to show you me running through Hades' domain real fast to show you on other enemies, but I realized the video has already been going on for a while. And I'm pretty sure you guys get it by now. It's a pretty straightforward build. It's definitely one of the easier builds to play. There really is not much else to say about it because it's, you know, very few abilities. The builds synergize pretty well together, and or the skill tree synergize pretty well together. And you more or less see everything that it entails. The unyielding phalanx, as you see, that does insane amounts of damage. One of my favorite like optional abilities. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. If you guys try out a Templar, hopefully you enjoy it. Almost got a death for you in the video. I'll need to get some poison res before I come back here, but that's all there is to it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will catch you around the next one. Peace.